Neighbors say blasting on this property has severely damaged their land. I'm Heidi Kemp. I'll have details in a live report.
Well, Elizabeth Hillary Clinton will make 2 stops in Rhode Island. She'll make an appearance at Rhode Island College, and she will also make a visit to a restaurant in Central Falls. Her visit to the Ocean State signifies the importance of the Rhode Island primary.
Under the new regulations, the entire area they fish in is now on a grid system just like this. And fishermen have to pick which block they want to fish in for their entire trip. Now let's say they're in this block right here, and the fish are biting in this block. Well, they have to go all the way back to shore, check in, and then come back. They can't just go back and forth. All this so they can monitor where they're going and what they're catching.
Well, Karen, you're right. That final piece of equipment was delivered to Quonset today. It will be here on site tomorrow. But take a look what I have here to my right. This is just one blade of that whole wind turbine project. My photographer is going to zoom out so you can see just how big it is. But when the whole project is complete, it will stand taller than the Statue of Liberty.
Just to set the scene better, let's take a look from up above in our mass cam shot. Officers say the driver of the white van was coming down Angel Street, going downhill through Benefit. The police officer was on Benefit Street heading this way. The driver of the white van says that the officer ran the red light, but that doesn't match up to what an eyewitness saw.
And we also learned tonight warming up your car for an extended period of time is not necessary. We're told it only takes a minute.
And we saw a tail, it was the tail of the plane, and it looked fake at first, it looked like they're filming a movie or something.
But for the crew of the Block Island ferry Athena, it was real, very real. U.S. Airways Flight 1549 floating in the Hudson minutes after crash landing.
We started yelling at the crew, let's go. We're leaving early, we're going out there. And we took the lines off and spun the boat around and headed out there.
The crew of the ferry stationed out of New Jersey for the winter. They were just about to make their daily run to New York when they found themselves less than a half a mile away from the crash site. Here you can see them approaching the plane.
And the current spun it around, and all of a sudden you see the fuselage, and it was just sitting there. There's nobody around. It was just floating down the river.
You could see the people standing on the wings, climbing out of the plane, and it was very surreal.
So one by one, they rescued 19 people, 17 passengers, a stewardess, and the pilot, whose life vest still remains on the ferry today.
We pulled up alongside at the other end of the raft and dropped our ladder, and people just started climbing up onto the boat.
There was one guy that had no clothes on. He just had his underwear and a white T-shirt on. And he was, he took his clothes off. He was in the back of the plane, I guess. And he was just waist high in water.
And while the crew of the Athena resumed normal operations today, their rescue logged in the date book, and a newspaper lay on the snack bar highlighting what happened.
A million things could have gone wrong, but a million things went right.
This was the scene just after 11 o'clock Thursday night. The popular heavy metal band Great White just starting their first song when something went terribly wrong.
The pyrotechnics went off, the stage caught on fire, and instantaneously the stage burst into flames. And I think it was because of the padding on the back, was a foam padding.
Within minutes, the station was engulfed in flames, the packed club in a frenzy.
And my sister and I were at the front of the stage, and as soon as I saw it going up, the foam padding, I grabbed her, and we went right out the back.
Dozens of firefighters and police officers scrambled to help the injured, putting them on buses and in ambulances en route to several local hospitals.
Tears of agony follow a violent night in Providence. Police say a man in his early 20s shot to death while getting his hair cut at a Smith Street barber shop.
A subject we know entered the barber shop, opened fire on the victim here tonight.
While he was getting his hair done.
Correct.
Police are not confirming that victim's name Friday, but his cousin tells us the victim is Kevron Poston from Providence. A loss for words as his cousin watches on minutes later.
He loved his family, I tell you that.
Other family members and friends sat in a car crying nearby as police removed his body. The gunman, police say, opened fire around 7 o'clock at the barber shop located at 459 Smith Street.
All I can say right now, he's a 20-year-old Providence resident. He is known to police, and we do not feel at this time this was a random incident.
My basketball team and we all went out to eat at IHOP, and my mother was coming to get me and my friend Devin. And I found out a man was shot and killed.
Police will not say whether it's gang related, but nearby a man who identified himself as the victim's mentor watched the scene in disbelief.
I said definitely the violence got to stop.
We stood up. Okay. Very good. Now, let's see if we can lift it with this.
2 months ago, we came and found about over 50 stones knocked down.
You can get up to a point where it's...
Wait a minute. This is the worst vandal we've seen in many, many years.
Okay. Just wiggle it this way. I gotta watch my fingers.
It's just ridiculous that someone does this for fun. Maybe they haven't lost somebody close to them. That if it happened to them, I'd like to know how would they feel.
You can get up to a point where it's neutral balance.
Yeah, you can even back up just a tiny bit.
All right, then come back towards me. With you? With the bar underneath it.
We've got a really concerted effort here today. So with manpower and a lot of work, we can get them back up again. We've got some devices. We really expect to get most of the work done today.
Put it down a little bit. But someone's got to keep track of these. For the epoxy, I know. Epoxy.
We will put some epoxy that might discourage them from coming off the base again.
Honestly, it's quite devastating. You hear this happening quite often, and I really would love to go and ask the person. I really would.
After the Rhode Island College Recreation Center filled to capacity, the Rhode Island Fire Marshal closed the doors. With thousands of people waiting outside in the rain to catch a glimpse of the Illinois senator, he decided to make an unscheduled appearance.
I am grateful to you for taking the time to come out here and showing such interest in this campaign.
Inside, an estimated 5,000 people waited to see the man who wants to be president.
It's my honor to introduce to Rhode Island the next president of the United States, Barack Obama!
Senator Obama did not disappoint the crowd. He touched on topics from universal health care to the war in Iraq. At one point, a reference to Senator Hillary Clinton's war vote drew a huge response from the crowd.
I knew what it was. Lincoln Chafee knew what it was. We knew what the score was. That's why I opposed this war. Link opposed this war. Many of you opposed this war, and that's why I will bring this war to an end when I'm president.
After the rally, people were energized about the Obama message.
His message is my message. What resonates with me is that he cares about all of us, the middle class.
I had to come see him speak. I saw his wife speak, and I'm inspired, and I love it. I'm just here. It's amazing. This is history right here.
It's been a very cynical last 8 years. It's nice to see something that looks hopeful, and the future looks bright for once.
Eyewitness News learning new information about a man's body found inside this Subaru. The car left in a grassy area on Olo Street overlooking Costa Park. Police now calling the death suspicious.
We did locate a body, a 36-year-old male deceased in a vehicle, and the body has been turned over at this time.
Besides that, police releasing very little information other than to say the man at one point lived in Woonsocket. The 911 call coming in around 3:30 this afternoon, from whom police won't say. But neighbors report seeing a woman who drives this car screaming this morning.
She was just basically saying he's dead, he's in the car, he's dead, I found him, he's dead. That's basically it. At that point, the police were trying to calm her down and trying to get her away from the car, and, you know, she was just on the phone crying.
By evening, police removed the car with the man's body inside. Forensics teams searched for clues and took pictures as the crowd watched on. Other neighbors report seeing the car early this morning.
Came out 5:30 this morning, and I noticed the car there, and I came by 2 or 3 times, and I seen the car there.
I was kind of suspicious when we seen it this morning, but I didn't expect anything, somebody being dead close by my house, you know.
It is a massive firefight from below to above as flames shoot through the roof of this 3-story apartment building. Devana Sherrod lives across the street. She was outside and noticed the smoke and rushed upstairs to tell a relative to call 911.
Once we went upstairs, we saw like a whole bunch of it. It just started swarming out the streets and everything.
The fire started in the basement, crept up the walls and into the roof. Dozens gathered at the corner of Atwells and Manton to watch firefighters do their best to knock it down.
Pretty bad. The smoke-wise, you couldn't even really see.
It was a black smoke coming out from the third floor, and from the second floor,
Because of structural problems, the residents were ordered out, and this bar was forced to close last week. The electricity was cut off. Firefighters say because of that, this fire is suspicious.
Well, it's certainly going to be under investigation, and we'll take our time. We'll investigate. At this point, building was vacant. There were no occupants.
It's like changing a car tires in a NASCAR. Right? He was quick.